Okay. Okay, I will start the meeting now. Hello everyone. Happy to see all of you and welcome back to today's session organized by VODAN Africa and Asia. My name is Putu Hadi, and you can see our agenda today. And as always, try to keep our mic muted during presentation to prevent background noises. And if you have any question, you can raise your hand or type them into the chat box. So I will now hand over to Professor Miriam to lead the session. Professor Miriam, the floor is yours.
Well, just really good to see everyone and looking forward to a very filled agenda. So let me hand back to you, Putu. Maybe, okay. Putu, can you make me administrator?
Okay. Okay, done. Wait a minute, I will do it. Okay, then we will move to the agenda today. We will start from the time plan of the task. Alia will explain about this agenda. So Alia, the floor is yours, Alia.
Thank you, Putu. Hi, everyone. Great to see all of you. So let me share my screen. So I hope everyone can see the screen.
Sure.
Okay, great. So basically, this is a very short presentation on the tasks that we currently have in here in VODAN. So they are all the very important components for the minimum viable product. And I have summarized all the very important tasks. But if you have anything to add or regarding the timelines, please just let me know in the chat. We can discuss it after I finish the presentation. So sorry. Yeah, no, this one. So the first one is, as you all noted, the CEDAR deployment part. This is the very important component of the minimum viable product, and I have mentioned all the tasks that are very important for the successful CEDAR deployment. Of course, there are some few subtasks, but these are the mostly important ones. So the first one is CEDAR image deployment. As you see, so it's basically planned. It's still in progress, and so it's planned by the first week of October. After that, at the same time, the documentation for deployment in hospitals are in progress, are being developed by VODAN, and hopefully we can get it by the end of the first week of October. And then we have, before we go with the full deployment, we have discussed it with Professor Miriam that going with some pilot version in 1 or 2 hospitals would be most beneficial for our purposes, and then see what kind of obstacles we have, and then relate back to the work that we have. So basically it's since we get the image deployment and then documentation, so we can buy the computers and then start some piloting in October. So I have given for that, around 3 weeks. I hope that that time would be enough for that. it also includes buying technical things that are necessary for the hospitals. But since it's like 1 or 2 hospitals, I hope it can be feasible. So, and then the next step is testing and retrieving data from repositories. So after we have successful pilot deployments, then we can really can see and also produce some data from those hospitals and try to store and retrieve data back from those repositories. And then after running all the steps, deployment in all other hospitals, and then troubleshooting, of course, that might require some additional human resources in that case. So it's basically in the timeline, it's in December. So and yeah, it might take for several weeks. I mean, like also considering that we have Christmas holidays and etc. So I hope that before the Christmas we can have the deployment in most hospitals. Yeah, so then the other important component of the project is VODAN portal. Now it's Olu is working on it, and Onto portal website configuration is being done by him. And yesterday during the meeting, he also updated us that he's kind of obtaining the license for it. So hopefully he will be able to finalize it by the end of this month. And then since we have in October pilot running, so basically we also need vocabularies at place at VODAN portal. So it might be some overlapping, but still I hope that we can solve it. So importing vocabularies from bioportal to VODAN portal, and then having vocabularies at local computers imported from Onto portal. So, and then the other part is queries and dashboards. I just consolidated some parts of the project in here, but they are also very important ones. The first one is being developed by Nurullah Saifuddin. So he's developing a tool between the CEDAR and HMIS, or specifically DHIS2. And yesterday he gave an update regarding his work, and it's in progress. And also we have a person from the team who is helping him. Is helping him on the DHIS2 part regarding the accounts and the structure and the organization itself. So the work is planned until the middle of October. So I hope that works for all of us. And then there are two main parts also. There are two parts, very important ones as well: mock data production on CEDAR General and test query on CEDAR General. So before, at the time we go with the pilot versions, so we have decided that we need to also figure out, produce some mock data on just CEDAR Stanford platform or CEDAR General, and then from that data query, send queries and see how it works. So basically, technical team will be focused on the CEDAR deployment part, whereas mock data production and test query will be done by Mariam and me. So, but she's She's on vacation right now for 2 weeks, but yesterday I had a call with her. So hopefully that we can finalize the work in October, and we are also going to include into this task some students from LIACs, from field labs. So it would be also beneficial for us in terms of time and also resources. So then the dashboards, front end, back end. So basically, it's being in progress, and Oluwole is going to show us the visualization that he yesterday showed us during the meeting. So, and then it's also planned to be finalized and seen, and I mean, like tested, run it, and also seen by the end of December. But it might be some delays since we, I mean, like in dashboards, because we, if we already have local deployments in December, so it might be sometime later. Okay, so and then the training and certification. So I'm currently working on data steward certification preparation process, and it's in progress, and hopefully I might have finalized it by the middle of October, and then oh, sorry, this should be data steward certification requirements. So then the requirements for data steward certification will be published during this time, like middle of October and middle of November, so everyone can be prepared for the certification. So because if we go in the real life deployment in December, so we in November we can have the certification. By the end of November we can have the certification, and then in December basically we can go with the pilot versions. And then there are some work regarding the videos that we're going to prepare as technical explanatory videos for everyone, like hospital, like personnel from hospital, like directors, clerks, and data management personnel, and etc. So they can have a look what basically we do here and how VODAN works, how do we put data, store data, and backup data, and also regarding dashboards. So when we had the discussion, so Professor Miriam suggested to include those people in the slide, but if anyone wants to also contribute, please reach me out so we can also have a separate discussion on that one. And then the development of VODAN Africa project explanatory web page. So it's not going to be a new one. So basically, it might be like a curriculum, or might be like a web page that explains everything that we do here in VODAN. And it's also planned to be in November. So I think yeah. So basically that's it from my side. Yeah, let me see if you have any questions.
Okay, thanks, Alia, for your update. Is there any question before I move to the next agenda?
That was a very fabulous timeline, Alia. Really good. I have just one question, and that is the different components that we need for the integration of the architecture, like for instance, the repositories of the data. Did I miss them? Do you have them in the timeline?
So basically, I have included that we test storing and retrieving data from repositories. Yeah, it's in timeline.
All right. Okay. Thank you.
Yeah.
It looks very comprehensive, and very solid. We discussed at the country coordinators meeting yesterday, and the feedback there was that this timeline, as you have also presented it today, seemed feasible, but it will be good to hear feedback if there are concerns on the timeline. It would be better to know.
Yeah, sure.
Yeah.
I'll also send the presentation into the chat so everyone can have a look, and yeah, we can also discuss it. Yeah.
Okay, is there any question? Okay, so then I will move to the next agenda. It is update of the health facilities communication. Let me share my screen. Wait a minute. There are two meetings yesterday, but one is the regular meeting with the country coordinator, and one with Eric Flickenchild. And with the meeting with Eric Flickenchild is about to he wants to know about the architecture of CEDAR FDP, so that I invited Rudwan to the meeting, and Rudwan explained the architecture to Eric, and we are planning to have a plan to create access and control, like explanation to non-technical person to make this architecture is trustable. And also about how to include this project in the Vantage 6 Vantage 6 architecture, but it will be Eric will discuss with Professor Miriam later. And from the regular meeting, as always, we discuss about the confirmation of architecture, and from Nigeria now one health facilities finished the architecture, but because of internet connection trouble yesterday, it is still not confirmed. So the Abdullahi connection, he cannot. He was there, but there was a internet connection. So he will check the architecture today. From Uganda, because Mariam's still in vacation, so I cannot confirm about the other health facility that still not confirm the project of VODAN Africa. And from Kenya, we are discussing about Beacon Hospital architecture, and it is confirmed. So right now, we are almost finished with Kenya, but still waiting from Zambezi Hospital. And on Thursday, Dr. Reginald and I will have another introduction session with NMS. From Ethiopia, there are 4 health facilities architecture of information flow, and EPRAM still check Tulumditu, Tirunes, and Tekle Manot health center. And from Somalia, basically we're finished with all of the health facilities. And from Zimbabwe, Kuda was not in the meeting. And from Tanzania, we're finished with the health facilities interview and also the script. So I will move it to Google Sheet data, and also do the information flow report. And from Liberia, the last information from Mariam said that there is still a problem with Liberia in Dr. Kebede's side. And that's all. So from Zimbabwe, maybe we can have a progress from CUDA in this meeting. So that's all from my side. Is there any question before I move to? Oh, one more thing, Alia. So you can check the report. Maybe I don't know what is the consideration for the pilot, but I think you should check the report from the this information flow because in my view. I think it's better to start from the health facilities that the information flow is not too complex, because I found some health facilities that that have another EMR and also another health information system, not the HIS. But I don't know what is the consideration of the pilot. But to my view, it is better to choose the health facilities that have a simple information flow. So that's all, Alia.
Thank you. We'll consider it, and I think we need to discuss it separately as well. Yeah.
Yes. Yeah. So is there any questions? So I will check the chat box before.
I'm thinking
too.
So two things is that Zimbabwe was discussed yesterday in a country coordinators meeting. I don't know if CUDA is here and can say something, but one possibility could be that if the approval of the health facilities goes too slow, because we have been waiting for some time, that they could do a mock setup just from the university. So CUDA, if you can respond whether that would be a possibility, that would be good. And on Liberia, we have set up with Dr. Bondimu some follow-up meetings. So hopefully that should be okay. And Ephraim has just joined, and I was wondering on the issue of the output to DHIS or HMIS, would it be something that Ephraim could help to see what the different output systems are to Ministry of Health, and how much the similarity is, so that if Noor has developed the output for DHIS, we can see whether it is doable to in fact adapt it to all of the output systems in all of the health facilities. Do you get me? Is that clear, Putu?
Yes, that is clear, Professor Miriam. So do you want Ephraim to respond about this, Professor Miriam, or we can?
Maybe shall I respond, or if Ephraim is not
okay, Bondimu, you can go ahead.
So maybe, do you mean that the DHIS, by the way, the DHIS, the HMIs is, include all the DHMIs, DHIS to include all the information on the HMIs. So currently we are using, DHIS to, no difference between DHIS 2 and HMIs 2 in the health facility level. But the difference might be, the DHIS 2 is the aggregated data, but the all information is in the register or in the ledger, but some key information from the register or from the ledger enter to the DHIS 2.
Yeah, the point would rather be that not every country uses DHIS 2. So like Ethiopia, Kenya, Uganda, that is all DHIS. But then I think, for instance, Nigeria, not. So the thing would be to identify if everything can be covered by that same output system component that Noor is developing to export or import the data rather in DHIS2. But what are the requirements in the facilities that do not use DHIS2? That would be the question. So to inventorize that. Do you see what I mean?
Sorry, I didn't get the point, because maybe if I'm not missed the point. The health facility, what they did is, there is a reporting format which is based on the HMIS requirement. So everything is registered, but the indicator level data is entered to the DHIS2. So the health facility is using all the data from the DHIS2, because the HMIS is decentralized to the health facility level.
Yeah, but the thing is that not all health facilities in all countries are using DHIS2.
Okay, maybe Ephraim, if Ephraim is in the pool, maybe he can respond.
Can you hear me?
Yes.
Yes, we can.
Yeah, as Wandamu said, all health facilities, especially CEDAR project, we planned the CEDAR project will be deployed at all public health facilities, and in our country, all public health facilities are using DHIS2. There may be a criteria to deploy it, but when you come to in public health facilities, all public health facilities are ruled by Ministry of Health, and in Addis Ababa, and also in peripheral, like 95% of the country are utilizing DHIS2 as a mandatory, and there may be some digital tools in different health facilities like smart care and other AMR may be parallel deployed in public health facilities, but all health facilities have had DHIS2 for aggregate data reporting.
Yeah, sorry, but I was talking about the countries that do not use DHIS2. So Aliyah told us that Noor is working on the export to DHIS2. So my concern is what happens in Nigeria or in other places where the facilities do not use DHIS2, and we should inventorize that. That's my point.
Yeah, Professor Mira, I can respond to your question. Actually, every in the regular meeting with country coordinator, I always confirm about this, Professor Miriam. So in the information report, for example, I put the summary of health facility and also the information flow. And in the information flow, I always ask about, is the data going to the HIS or not? So right now there is inventory about that. I mean, like which one is using the HIS and not, and if it's not, so what happened to the data? It is stored in the computer with Excel or any HMIS with the database. So something like that, Professor Mira.
Yeah, so that's great. So if you have the inventory, then the next job could be to see what it is that Noor is working on and whether we could extend that to the HIS systems that health facilities are using that are not using DHIS2.
Yes.
And because I think that Ephraim has a little bit of time, this could be a nicely contained task to do, which means that we can then be clear on all of the health facilities how we export to the HIS system.
Okay.
You got me?
Yeah. Okay.
Okay.
Is there any questions?
No questions. Putu, can you give the floor to Oluwole after this one?
Okay. So we will move to the next agenda. It is the demonstration on a dashboard. So Oluwole, you can share your screen to demonstrate the dashboard.
Okay, thank you very much. Okay, may I be allowed to share my screen? Okay, can you see my screen?
Yes, yes.
Okay, yeah. Thank you. Basically, myself and Helen, we met over the week, so we had a lengthy talked about the technology to be used, the language to be used. Yeah. So unfortunately, now I'm not using React, but then I use JavaScript very well. So we agreed that I come up with something feasible, something usable for now. Yeah, over the time, it can actually be migrated to React if need be. Yeah, at least for us to be able to use a framework. So basically, this is what I've been able to come up within the very short period, which is just basically the visualization of the data collected from the CEDAR instances that will probably be installed. So we have the different navigations, the facility information, participating countries, and vocabularies. Yeah, for me to probably set up properly set up the structure, I would need the KPIs and the API where the data will be fetched from. Yeah, so basically this is just what I've been able to come up with. Then hopefully before the next meeting, I will set up a dummy data pool where such that I'll be able to demonstrate what all the modules, all the components, how the components will be behaving. Yeah, so that's basically it for now. Yeah. I don't know if you have any question.
I think it looks really fabulous. And then it seems to me that there will be 3 layers, probably, Oluwole. So this with the general information overview, and then one with the data at the facility level.
Okay.
And then the data, so that will be different for each facility because it will only be based on the data that is in that facility. And then the third layer would be the aggregate data, which is then the VODAN Africa data across the facilities, but as aggregate data. So not access into other health facilities, but as aggregate data for the whole community. I think that is the setup.
Okay, yeah, understood.
Looks really, really good.
Hopefully by next week, within the week I will speak with Yelin to get the KPIs. Then I'll come up with dummy data to demonstrate the usability of the different components.
Yeah, and then Oluwole, what is your assessment on the usability? So say we have 80 health facilities. So the second layer is different for all of the 80 health facilities. The first layer and the third layer are the same. Okay. The adaptability of the second layer, how usable will that be, or how much programming will be required in your view to set those up? So I'm really looking at the feasibility, the realizability of this.
I think it's possible. Anything is possible programmatically, actually, as long as the data source is available, so we can know how to manipulate the data. It's just the data manipulation. As long as the data is readily available, we can always work with that. It's just to navigate from those, once those facilities are defined separately, so with their different structures. One is just the visualization. It's just to get what is in the data pool and display. So it's not, I don't think it's much of a problem.
Okay. Yeah, and it would mean that, so the data are within the facility and the second layer is generated from the data in that facility. So it is obviously not the idea that the data are in some sort of a central cloud away from the facility. That cannot be the stream. So the second layer in the dashboard really needs to pick the data from within that facility.
Okay, yes, it's possible. I think what will happen is we'll probably need to have a back-end structure that will probably that's probably where we'd have to set up the different facilities on our end. Then that's where we'll put the API parameters that will fetch those data for each one of those facilities. We'll just set up here, put in the APIs that is needed to fetch the data. Then it goes to the different facility to the different CEDAR installation for the different facility to fetch the data. I think that's not so much of a hassle.
Yeah, that's a really important question, actually. How that backend is managed. I think we need to think that through a little bit more and discuss it. That's actually even more important than the visuals. So yeah, maybe we can put this on the agenda for the maybe for the country coordinators meeting to next Monday or the Monday after, to really have some further reflection on that. Would that be possible, Oluwole?
Yes. Okay. Then during the week, let me come up with a structure. Then I'll probably revert back to you within the week and show you what I can come up with. Then, if it's possible, then if it's feasible, then we can present it.
Yeah. Okay. Perfect. Thanks a lot,
Okay.
Oluwole. That's perfect. Thanks a
You're
lot.
welcome. Okay, welcome. Okay, Alia, I think that's all from my end.
Okay, Oluwole. Thanks. It is great dashboard. Well, Oluwole, I think we will work together because I collect data about the what is health facilities interest about the data. So to show in the dashboard, both general and internal dashboard, so we can coordinate about this.
Oh, it's okay, Putu.
Yeah, okay. And Alias, should I back to CEDAR deployment or template and vocabularies, or move to update of?
It's up to you.
Okay, so next I will move to templates and vocabularies, Alia. So please go ahead.
All right. So regarding the templates, yesterday I had a call with Mariam, so she has finalized the reviewing all the templates, and basically we are all done with the templates, and she's going to send me and all country coordinators the review work that she has done, and maybe and there are some suggestions she already gave to template creators. And if I speak regarding vocabularies, so I have received all the vocabularies from country coordinators, and they are in the process of reviewing by me. And then I also have reviewed some of like 2 of them and finalize it today. So basically we're quite well, I mean, we're quite done with the vocabularies and templates. And then the next work is going to be importing all the vocabularies to onto portal and then see how we can incorporate them within the templates. That's it from my side.
Thanks, Alia, for your update. And now I'll move to CEDAR deployment by Olhas. Olhas, the floor is yours.
Yeah, thank you, Putu. Regarding the CEDAR deployment part, like Nambobi is almost ready. I'm waiting, installing all infrastructure and running it. When he is ready, yeah, we will make query. At the same time, I'm making like my CEDAR point, like CEDAR machine. I bought recently like personal computer. It's arrived in the weekends. So I'm starting again installing the CEDAR CEDAR point, and also making some videos how to make like bootable USB device, and also and how to solve some problems, because I see that after the installation, like when we shared some image, and after the installation of this image, some infrastructures are missing. So I'm also making some like video tutorials to handle such kind of problems. Yep, I think as soon as it is ready, I will make it available in a cloud, as same as image. Yeah, that's all from my side, I think.
Thanks, Orzas, for your update. Is there any question?
Yeah, yep, no worries, Miriam. I think we also have many things to do before the LIMC server will be available. I think, yep, no worries.
Okay, Orzas, thanks for your update. Let's move to the next agenda. It is update of the country coordinators meeting and country updates. And Dr. Reginald, you can go ahead to update the discussion of country coordinators yesterday.
Yeah, thank you very much, Putu. We had the coordinators meeting yesterday, and we appreciate the work done by each and every group. So when Alia is presenting, Putu is presenting, Oluole is presenting, Mariam is presenting, they're all coming together, and the baton falls at the country coordinators. So we become the implementers of this project. So we need to have a plan. So we discussed each country to see where we are, what kind of challenges we are facing, and then how do we prepare ourselves to make sure that the deployment is done end of October, the deadline set by Alia's plan, November, December. How do we work towards that? So the conclusion was that we as country coordinators need to also have an internal plan to integrate all this process together so that we are able to discuss what is happening with the Ministry of Health in our own countries, who are these policymakers who are going to be part and parcel of this program, who are the stakeholders we need to involve, how are we connected with these health facilities, and we're able to answer questions if they're asked of us within each country. What are the logistical arrangements that we think we need to have in place so that things are moving? And then look at the technicalities that might arise. So we should anticipate. And keeping this in mind is that we need to be aware that there is a steering committee and technical committees that have also deadlines to make sure that we fulfill our job very well. So we agree that every week we'll have a meeting, and we'll be inviting some of the technical teams, some of the communication teams to our Monday meetings. For example, Obina, Frederick, we might ask Alia or somebody to come just to clarify a point. Now we have just gotten a question by Oluole that we need also to discuss as country coordinators. So the question that came out from each country were handled differently, because each country is very unique in their own structure and the way they work. But when you consolidate, we learn from each other. So that's what I would say, Putu, was the outcome of our meeting yesterday. Thank you.
Thanks, Dr. Reginald, for your update. And we will move to the country updates. Let's start from Din Jamal. Can you update about you can go ahead, Din Jamal.
Putu,
Yes.
Maybe since we now have the country coordinators meeting where we do the updates, it is maybe good to move on because there's still some issues on the agenda. And you can leave the country updates for this time.
Okay.
Then we also keep time.
Okay. Thanks, Professor Miriam. So let's move to the next agenda. It is from special issue updates. Is Misha here, or Professor Miriam? You can you update about this, or Misha will be in this meeting?
In any case, I can update that they are with the they're all in the double peer review. So we are expecting them back anytime, and then that will be sent on to all of the authors. So it should really go quite fast now. So that's all I have for now. It's all really in progress and close to the end.
Okay. Okay. Well, then I think Nurullah, do you want to speak by yourself about Professor Miriam question?
Yes, actually I can speak about it. Hello, the program is working on local my computer, Professor Miriam, and it can send data to the HES2 system from the CEDAR, but I'm working on the mock data and some unclear situation about the authorization of the tool because it requires the CEDAR API key and also the HES2 account. About that, I will consult with someone after this meeting, and also about it and the database on the DHS2. Mariam is arranging a meeting someone from the DHS to Uganda, and after that, I believe everything will be more clear. That's it from my side. Thank you.
That sounds very good. Very good. Wonderful.
Thank you very much, Professor.
Okay. Thanks, Nurullah. So, is there any question or any other business that you want to? So, if there is no question or anything to add, I will close the meeting. So as always, the recording session of this meeting will be uploaded in Slack and also in YouTube. And see you next week in the same meeting. Goodbye, everyone. Thanks.
Putu,
yes.
I don't know. Am I too late? But I just wanted to say that there will be a steering committee meeting next week.
Oh, yeah.
And so if there are any important issues, and especially in relation to the timeline, but also any other issues, it will be very important to know this in preparation of the steering committee meeting. Yes, and so please let us know if there are things that you feel can impact on what we will report there to all of our sponsors.
Prof.
Yes, Dimo. Yes.
Sorry, just yesterday I promised to have a meeting with the Liberian team, and I talked to Dr. Kabade.
Yes.
So he will be in leave for 1 month already. He planned to just for vacation. So he said that it's possible to make it after 1 month, because he will be on the vacation. So I tried to make whether it is possible on the remote, but he said that he will be on the limited internet access for a month.
Right. Okay, well then we will see when he's back how we manage it. Thanks.
Exactly.
Yeah, thanks, Wandimo, for that update.
Yeah, Prof, thanks so much. It's me, Jamal. Yeah, I have a question on the timeline and also the number of health facilities that we need to deploy. So no problem. I can reach you later, you or Ali or Pluto. Then we will discuss on it. So, just I want to know the number of health facilities and then the timeline. What we need right now to prepare. For example, what we need from Ministry of Health and also the number of health facilities, so how we can choose that health facilities. Do we want to choose a private or hospital or health facilities, and then the number? So just I will reach you, no problem.
Yes, I think that what you are asking is, I mean, Alia very nicely presented the timeline for the different technical teams, which is very good because it means that the technical teams are clear what they should do and when. But Alia, maybe we need to make a top line timeline, which would give clarity to like ministries of health or country coordinators, what they need to mobilize at what time will we do the training, at what time do we do the mock test, at what time do we do the real deployment. Maybe we can make a timeline planning from that perspective. What do you think, Alia?
Yeah, I think that is a good idea.
Yeah, and that would be, I think is a good point from Dean Jamal, and that would also help us to present, to look at the country coordinators and to present to stakeholders within the countries. And I can also very well use that for the steering committee, because the steering committee will be more interested in that bird's eye planning overview. So that will be good. Okay. Anything else then?
Alia. Alia, can you hear me? Is this my connection or Professor Miriam connection?
I can hear you.
Oh, then it's Professor Miriam connection. It's not. She's freezing. So, is there anything to add before I close the meeting? So, if there is nothing to add, so I will close the meeting, and as always, I will upload the recording to YouTube. And Professor Miriam, do you want to add something, because you're
yeah, I dropped.
You was freezing. Yeah.
No, that was just to say thank you to everybody. Okay. And really good work. Thank you.
Okay, thanks everyone for the participation. See you next week on the same meeting. Bye.
Bye everyone. Bye, Ezekiel.